Good morning and welcome to Morning Movie News. My question for you today, my first question, is which movie do you think is more crowded? Days of Future Past or Guardians of the Galaxy? There doesn't seem to be a day that goes by without a casting announcement for this film. We had Glenn Close, which everyone was like, oh, that's interesting. And then they were like, oh, the actress and Karen Gillan from Doctor Who, and Doctor Who fans were like, that's awesome. And everybody who didn't watch Doctor Who was like, okay, I can see you wanting to tie into Doctor Who. And then they were like, and then yesterday the big news was Benicio Del Toro was going to join the cast, and everyone was like, that's very interesting. But I think the interest, it wasn't that interesting because we'd already been interested for like 2 days in a row. So I think Marvel maybe should have made like one big casting announcement, unless they are just announcing it as they sign the people. But I agree with the speculation, the worldwide speculation that Benicio Del Toro will be playing Thanos. Because really, what other character is worth Benicio Del Toro's time, and what other character is worth Marvel paying Benicio Del Toro money? I don't know how much money that would actually be, because he's certainly not a box office draw, but I think he gives, if he is Thanos, I think because of his credibility as an actor, I think he gives that character some credibility. So I think that's why I would pick Benicio Del Toro to play Thanos. I think that is a bit of a casting coup for them. It's the best casting I feel for the film, but yet, really, just how many people are in this movie? I was talking to someone about it the other day, and they were like, but it's an ensemble cast of heroes, so of course there are a lot of actors. But I'm like, but it appears there's an ensemble cast of villains as well. I mean, this isn't a television show where they can like really delve into all the characters like Game of Thrones, which I'm going to get to actually today. But and also I actually have to say I question James Gunn's ability to handle this kind of a cast. I mean, I know he has his fan base, but I wouldn't really call him like a classy director, and I don't really know if he has, the ability to introduce such a large cast and do it well, and at the level that a Marvel movie the Guardians of the Galaxy needs to be. Guardians of the Galaxy started to look like it was going to be like this kind of like Saturday afternoon matinee movie where you're, like a swashbuckling space adventure that was kind of cheesy. But with these additions of Glenn Close and Benicio Del Toro, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of starting to go through an identity crisis before it even comes out. Hopefully it'll be resolved when we see a trailer and maybe some images from the actual film. But I don't know. I mean, Benicio Del Toro, great idea for Thanos. I wonder how much of Benicio Del Toro we'll actually see, or if this is more of a voice acting gig. But I think he's definitely Thanos. But I still have huge concerns about Guardians of the Galaxy, which I hope are put to rest when I start to see a trailer and some stuff come out from the film. But way too many actors. It's like, at this point, if you get cast in Guardians of the Galaxy, don't be too excited, because how much screen time could you really have? All right, so that's the first story of the day. The second story is another one that you guys were interested in yesterday, and that's the rumor. It hasn't been confirmed. It's a wild, crazy rumor that's caught on like wildfire, and that's that Penelope Cruz will be the next Bond girl. I have, again, mixed feelings on this. The things I don't like about it is I think Penelope Cruz is being used wonderfully in the Pirates franchise. She took over for Keira Knightley as the new female member of that franchise with Pirates 4. I'm hoping she's in Pirates 5. They just got the directors that have worked with her before. And I think she's fantastic opposite Johnny Depp. I think she grounds his craziness, but while still being fun. So I don't like it. Just like I've said, I don't like directors directing everything. I don't want Christopher Nolan to direct every movie coming out of Hollywood, every big blockbuster. I don't want to see the same actor in every blockbuster. I like to see different movies. So that's my reservation about casting her as the next Bond girl. That said, though, some people have brought up the fact that she would be the oldest Bond girl ever, which I counter. Judi Dench is the oldest Bond girl ever. But because Penelope Cruz is 40 years old. She doesn't look old. She looks great. And I think that it would be nice to kind of like do away with that in the Bond films. It's it's just, age is just a number. But so that I kind of like. But and some people have said, well, why Penelope Cruz do this now? The Bond producers have apparently been eager to get her for a while. And my thoughts on this are two things. First of all, her husband, Javier Bardem, was the villain in Skyfall, and that really helped his career. It was a great opportunity for him, so he probably came home and was like, boy, I sure like working on that Bond movie, Penelope. You should get on one of those. I had such a great day, so he just brags about it every day when he comes home from set. But the other reason is that James Bond films never made $1 billion before. I mean, that's a whole new ballgame. I imagine Sam Mendes or whoever comes on to direct the next Bond film, Bond 24, will have a much easier time lining up talent and the like, considering that so much more is at stake, and it's it's rolling with the big dogs, running with the pack. So Penelope Cruz, I wouldn't be horribly disappointed, but let's go find another great actress to put in there. I mean, Hollywood's a big town. I know it seems smaller and smaller as comic book movies snap everybody up, but I'm sure there's somebody who's worthy. Third story was a very light news day. So, like the rest of the world, I watched Game of Thrones Red Wedding. I actually watched it a day late because I was doing something Sunday night. So, but I have to say that was an interesting experience because everybody was like, oh my God, maybe, even my parents brought it up. They were like, we heard this Red Wedding episode is just too violent and brutal. I mean, it's just really shocking everyone. And I was like, oh wow, I can't wait to watch this. So I turned it on. And I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but you should be watching Game of Thrones, everyone. It's a fantastic show, better than most movies, actually, I'm sad to say. But I didn't think it was that crazy. I guess I've seen a lot of crazier movies, I mean, Scarface, that infamous scene in the shower with the chainsaw is bloodier than this. So I kind of was like, and I think what really I think the violence shocked people, both what I'm gathering from people who read the book and also watched the show, is the characters who died. Now, I'm a bit of a cheater, and I will Wikipedia stuff if I'm a little impatient, and I don't mind having things spoiled for me. So I knew that the Red Wedding was coming. I knew what characters were going to die because I couldn't help myself, and so I went online and looked and researched it. So I think that I didn't have quite the shock. Like, I was very shocked when Jaime Lannister lost his hand. I didn't know that was coming. But still, I don't think this was that crazy, and I like it when important characters die because I don't like the idea. I like the unexpected. And the author, George R.R. Martin, said that he prides himself on having a series of novels and thus a television show on HBO, which does the unexpected, where nobody is safe. I think that's fantastic. That's what I like in my entertainment. However, he brought up a really interesting point. He said when he first wrote the scene in the novels, he lost a lot of readers, but he gained some readers, but he said he lost a lot of readers. And people wrote into him, and they pointed out that all entertainment to them is escapism, to make them forget their problems. So they don't like it when the entertainment has as many problems or worse than their actual life. So I thought that was an interesting thing to discuss today. So I'm asking you in the comments to write down, for you personally, do you view entertainment as escapism that has to be all happy and cheery, and you like having your mind taken off of the horrors and sadness and bitterness of the world, or do you like your entertainment to kind of like heighten reality and make you think about the bitterness and the horribleness of the world? I'm the latter, but if you have the form, both are respectable choices, former or the latter. So write down below what you prefer. So let's get into today's questions. The first one is I thought this was a good one. If M. Night Shyamalan's career has been ruined by flop after flop, why is it the Wachowskis are still alive? Why aren't people calling for the death knell of their career? So my answer to that would be, I think some people kind of are. I mean, I've been talking about the fact that, they only have so many lives left. I saw Cloud Atlas. I mean, I told everybody that I had not seen it in theaters, so I went to watch it. It was on demand when I was traveling to one of the comic conventions. Turned it on. I didn't really like it, I'm afraid. I really wanted to. I felt that it was too gimmicky. I thought that it relied too much on the makeup and the wigs to do the work. I thought it made Tom Hanks and Halle Berry look like they didn't deserve the Oscars they'd won. So if I were them or their agents, I'd be very nervous that this was out there. I was impressed with Hugh Grant, by the way, though. He does a pretty impressive American accent. That kind of like took my mind off of it. But I stuck with it for a long time, trying to maybe this is all going to pay off. Maybe this is going to be amazing. But I have to say that I actually ended up turning it off. This actually ties into what I was just saying. I usually like things to be realistic, but look at this. Here's an example of escapism. I could tell there was going to be a plane crash in the movie, and because I had to fly the next day, I wasn't having fun anyway, so I just didn't want to see that. So sorry, Cloud Atlas, you lost out. I was weighing the quality of the story versus, not wanting to sit through something that made me very uncomfortable and nervous, and the story wasn't enough to warrant the uncomfortable and nervousness. So, that made me actually, I'm sorry to say, lose a little bit of faith in the Wachowskis. Up until this point, I have felt that everything they've done has been really on the mark. So, I guess if I wanted to, I could blame Tom Twyker, the Run Lola Run director who worked with them on that. It's all his fault. But so I think the Wachowskis are on thin ice. But I think that they haven't disappointed their fan base like M. Night Shyamalan has, and I guess that's the difference. M. Night Shyamalan, just nobody can stand with him at this point. He has no one who's supporting him or backing him up. But the Wachowskis, I'm a little bit of a doubter now, but I think that overall, they have not disappointed people, and the fan base at least is still happy. That said, though, Jupiter Ascending, and I've seen some crazy photos coming out of, I think they're shooting in London. Yeah, Channing Tatum, that's where his baby's going to be born. He's talking about that, so that's more why everybody knows the movie's being shot than the movie itself. But I've seen some crazy photos, typical Wachowski stuff for Jupiter Ascending, and so I hope they're not playing around over there. I hope that they're going to, deliver a good story, and they're not just having too much fun in the wardrobe and makeup department, which I think I get sidetracked with. The other question for today, last one, is are there any films that I feel are Oscar worthy so far? I've covered a lot. I don't want to go into this too much because I have picked a lot of Oscar frontrunners. Apparently, obviously, a lot of them haven't come out yet. But I do want to take a moment to say I know a lot of you really don't like it, but The Great Gatsby, to me, I feel is a serious contender. It's made enough money that even though people are upset about the soundtrack, that it's possibly still a contender because it has that kind of respect. And I just was really impressed with the film. I thought it was really impressive. I loved it a lot. And so I think Gatsby, to me, is definitely should. And I hope it just doesn't just get that kind of write-off nominations for, set design, production design, costume design, all the visual stuff, which I think, I've come to think that's a little insulting from Hollywood because, the Academy's like, we didn't forget you. Look, you got these kind of nominations that aren't the big ticket items. And I know, not to offend anyone who works in those industries, they're very vital, but I mean, if you even look at the telecast, they're not taken very seriously. They're kind of done in the front. No one's really paying attention. They have that horrible scenario where they put everybody up on stage in a line for those awards. And, if Hollywood wants, and I guess Hollywood doesn't, so that's the whole problem, but if Hollywood wants the audience to have more respect for those areas of the filmmaking business, they should have more respect for it as well. So Gatsby's my first pick right now. A lot of great Oscar movies to come. So those are my thoughts for today. That's today's episode. Thank you for tuning in to Morning Movie News. Write down below what you'd like to see covered tomorrow, and if you have any questions you want me to answer. Thanks for watching. Bye.